Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back. CPI. CPI. I need a haircut. Might have to book that right now while we wait. Morning, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back. How's everyone doing today? From Hong Kong. Hey, welcome from Hong Kong. Back in Miami. Yep. Happy to be back. Happy to be back. Morning, morning. How's everyone doing? All right, we booked a haircut. Bienvenidos a Miami. Sí. Rainy and very windy. It's actually sort of sketchy to go out on the balcony on these days. It's like probably 30. I would say it's at least like 30 mile an hour gusts, 40, maybe even up to the 40s. It's pretty sketchy out there, especially when it's windy and rainy and just it's not been great weather here in Florida. But I heard it's good up north. I have a buddy in New Jersey who said that it's been beautiful there. So the weather has flipped. Summer in Florida is not fun. This is when you go up north. So let's get started. We'll start talking about yesterday. Yesterday was, as expected, a shit show. Choppy before before CPI and FOMC minutes today as well, if you were not aware. So pretty choppy, pretty messy. We were on the live trading. We were just saying, guys, this is probably a better day to trade, right? There's going to be better opportunities out there. If you don't like anything out there, just stay out of it. So I took a loss yesterday. I tried to trade an AMD retest. Did not work. Took a loss. And after taking that loss, I just said, hey, this is probably not my day, right? I've had good days, and the good days that I've had, the market does not look like it did yesterday morning. So I decided to accept the L and just move on. Today, hopefully some better action, and definitely can make back that loss today, right? That's the big thing. I know it's very difficult when you're in the heat of the moment, when you are trading and you take a loss. You always want to make it back that same day, right? You do not want to end the day red. It's a very normal human instinct. But I can promise you, right, you take a small loss, you don't even think about it the next day, right? It's not bothering me one bit right now that I took a loss yesterday. I know I can make that back. I'm confident I can make that back. There's no reason to, get on edge, get on tilt, and try to make it back that same day. It's hard, right? I know it's easy to say. I know it's hard to it's actually hard to act on that, but that is something that's very, very key, in my opinion, to be able to come back, fresh mind, fresh day, and come back and make back that loss. So that's the plan today. That is the plan today. I don't have a schedule for us today. This is yesterday's schedule because we're basically just going to look at futures here until CPI. So we're going to look at futures. We'll look at a few names, if we have time before CPI. We'll go over the expectations of the CPI. Pretty low expectations today. So I'm interested to see what happens here. The expectations for CPI year over year is 5.2%. It's a pretty big drop from the previous reading. So expectations are for CPI to drop a pretty substantial amount, about 0.8%. So that is going to be interesting to see what it comes in at. So we'll go over the futures. We'll go over some of the expectations for CPI. Hopefully that's around 8:30. We'll get the CPI reading. We'll see what the market reaction is. We'll go over the futures again to get a quick update on them after the move. And then we'll get deep into the technicals on the individual stocks, individual setups that we can watch today. All right. So that's sort of how today's stream is going to go. Whenever we have a big event in the middle of our stream, we have to sort of work around it because we know everything that we talk about before 8:30 can be invalidated, right? We can get an idea of what levels to watch, but we have to see what the reaction is at 8:30 and then sort of reassess, all right? So let's get started. Welcome back, guys. If you could, as you're stopping in, press that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here. I'm probably going to see some new faces today. The CPI streams always get a little bit big. So if you guys are new, press that like button, subscribe to the channel. We're here every day at 8 a.m. All right. Let's just jump into the NASDAQ here to start. Let's do a little analysis here on the NASDAQ. So if today was a normal day, right, and if this week was a normal week and we didn't have any big economic data being released, this is a bullish break and retest, right? There's no doubt about it. This is a technical setup that is still very bullish in my eyes. Obviously, as a trader, as someone who's in tune with the market, we know that, economic data can invalidate technicals. Someone that is not biased coming into the market, understanding risks, we know that today can invalidate any technical setup that we're looking at. But as of right now, right, we look at this hourly chart and we see a previous rejection point that has become a pretty solid support on the NASDAQ. So we can see, right, this previous rejection point that is turned into a pretty solid support. That is a break and retest, and that is still bullish, right? The market, in my eyes, is still in a bullish setup. When we zoom out and we really zoom out and look at the actual setup on the hourly, this is still a bullish setup, right? Previous highs into new support. So this is definitely going to be, and we obviously know this already, that 13,000 level is extremely, extremely key, right? That's really the level that you're going to look to see if there's reactions off of, in my eyes, today. All right, if we break back under this 13,000, that is really where that downside, I believe, can start to come in. If we get a, higher than expected CPI reading, maybe there's some bearish reaction off of it. If we get that move under 13, if this thing starts to trade under 13, then that is where I think, that downside slippery action can really start to come in. If we continue to maintain above 13,000, it's going to be a little bit difficult to be, on the short side for for an extended period, because we know that these 13,000 demand holds continue to come in. So we saw this on Thursday of last week. We saw this on Monday of this week, and we saw us sort of maintain this 13,080 area that we talked about yesterday, in yesterday's trading day. So this is really the key for me, right? What happens at 13,000 today? Do we give it up or do we hold it? That's really going to be the one major thing that's on my mind for, how does the rest of the week trade? Are we above 13,000? If we are, we have to be careful of that demand continuing to hold. If we lose that 13,000, then that is where I think, the downside can start to step in, because that would be a break back under this double bottom. That would be a break back under these previous highs. And if we start to turn these previous highs right here into rejections again, if we start to see this again, right, over the next few days, then, that would probably lead to some weakness. So for me, it's all about 13,000. That's going to be our big guardrail on the bottom side of this channel. All right. Next, right, the next thing that we're watching here is this 13,200. That's the top side of our channel now. We can see we have the previous lows at 13.2 that have turned into rejections, right? So we had the 13,000 highs that turned into support. We got the 13,002 lows that turned into a rejection, right? So this is our channel, right? This is our channel. 13.2 to 13,000. Trading in here, right, is just going to be a channel trade. So you look for the demand holds of 13. You look for the supply rejections of 13.2. The real move, right, the move that's going to be pretty nice to trade, right, the continuation move will happen if we fall under 13 or if we break over 13.2, right? That's really where, the continuation move in my eyes will be a little bit easier to trade. If we are continuing to be within 13.2 and 13, then we continue to channel trade here on the NASDAQ. And that's all we have to watch, right? We have to make sure we know supply's here. We have to make sure we know demand is here. And we have to not do the opposite of what these levels tell us, right? We're not going to short here and we're not going to long here, right? So that is going to be the key to watch today. So today we'll see this live, right? We'll see if CPI breaks one of these sides, one of these guardrails, and if it does, then we'll look for that continuation to either direction. If CPI comes out and we stay within these guardrails, then we're going to have to continue to respect it like any other day, right? If CPI comes out and maybe we just go here, then we're not going to be able to go short at the market open, right? If CPI moves us down to 13K at market open, we still have to respect that demand. If CPI brings us up to 13.2 at market open, we still have to respect that supply, right? Only when we break either side of these channels is when we can look for that retest and that continuation. That's only when we see that break and that retest. That's when we can look for that continuation. So levels have been pretty good here on the NASDAQ, 13.2, 13,000. That's what I'm going to leave you with now on the NQ. We'll relook at this after CPI is released. All right, ES. Oh, what happened to the ES there? Nice little drop right there. 15-minute chart on the ES. Let's go hourly. So ES has a few more levels to watch here. 4150, very clearly a rejection point, right, on this market. 4150 previous lows here, 4150 here, 4150 here, and 4150 again yesterday. This morning, we're pushing towards that 4150, and you can see we're getting some downside here as we speak. So 4150, very clearly the supply level to watch this morning. Do we get above it? Do we hold above it? Right? Or do we reject it on any push to the upside? That's going to be the key. So 41.50, big watch there on the ES here this morning. To the downside, right? To the downside, 41.35. You guys saw how this level held yesterday. You guys saw how this level held pretty much all day yesterday. What was this level before? This 41.35 level was the previous high here, right? It was the previous high right here. It was the previous high right here. After breaking above it on Monday, we held this all day yesterday, right? So you can see we broke above, we held above. Previous high, previous high, previous high, break and hold above that level. So 41.35 is going to be pretty key today, in my opinion. If we break back under 41.35, if we start to turn that into a rejection again, then we know that the market may flip back to maybe the 41.20s. And if it's still weak, right, maybe back down to that 4100 demand. So in my eyes, early morning today, it's really this 15-point range. That I think will do some deciding for us. Do we break and hold above 41.50 supply, or do we break and hold below 41.35 demand? That's really what I'm going to be watching, on CPI. Which way does it send us? Does it send us below, or does it send us above? And then look for that continuation move to either side, right? So pretty clear levels on the ES, 41.35 demand, 41.50 supply. Let's see what happens here in about 15 minutes. We'll see if there's any movement on either side of this channel. We'll jump into the SPY real quick. You guys saw sort of that 410 turn into a, sort of short-term demand yesterday. It wasn't perfect. It was really just like a 50-cent range here between like 409.50 and 410. Really like this entire range here. 409.50 to 410. You sort of saw that level sort of bounce multiple times yesterday, hold here in the after hours, and still trading above it. So I'm actually going to delete this for now. So really, it looks like it's going to be this 409.50 to 410 watch here on the SPY, right? So if we go down to the 15-minute, you guys can see this right here. All right, a little bit in a little bit more detail. We have this previous high around this 409.50, previous highs around this 409.50 right here, and you can see it turned into a support yesterday. All right, so 409.50 on the SPY looks to be pretty important. This whole 50-cent range looks to be that demand zone that you're going to have to watch today. Do we hold up in that 409.50 to 410 zone? That's really the watch here on CPI. If we break back under 409.50, if we start to turn this into a rejection again, right? Start to do something like we saw here, where we reject and we reject, right? That is probably where you can get that downside continuation. So I would, if you're looking to short the market on CPI, if there is a downside move on the market after CPI, I would look for confirmation of 409.50 to turn into a rejection point. And that would probably be a nice spot to look for that downside continuation. Before that, right, if you get short before the 409.50 break, you are shorting back into this demand and you're shorting back into these previous highs. So just be careful of that. All right. So 409.50 to 410 looks to be pretty major today. If we break that, I'd say downside. If we sort of maintain, we'll have to see how much this wants to push. As of right now, it looks like this 411 zone is pretty damn heavy. Right up in there. Let's turn that red. All right. So pretty tight range on the SPY. The same as the ES, right? The ES is a pretty tight range as well. 41.50, 41.35. And then on the SPY, around that 409.50, 410 to around 411. Pretty tight range up there as well. And the SPY, right? The SPY still has not. This is the interesting thing about the SPY versus the ES here, which I've found is sort of, it's interesting. That's really the word for it. This is a really nice break and retest, first of all, on the 4-hour, right? You guys can see that right here. You see a very clear previous low, previous high, right? And then look at what it did, right? A break and a retest. So that's a pretty nice break and retest on the SPY. The SPY above 406, if we really zoom out, all right, if we zoom out here and we just look at this on a larger scale, right, and this is always good to do. You don't want to get lost in the sauce because you can get lost, sort of being overly confident to a single direction by looking at a short-term time frame, right? If you're going to look for a continuation to a certain direction, you're probably going to want to be looking at some longer time frames to get the true picture. So the true picture here, on a technical standpoint, right, irregardless of what your bias is, irregardless of what you think the market should do, on a technical standpoint, the market is still in a very bullish scenario here. The reason for that is because you are above this previous high, you are holding these previous lows, and you just saw a pretty decent demand bounce off that 406, right? That is a break and hold of a previous high. That is still bullish, right? If the market is trading above this previous high, this is back in March, that is still a bullish hold. So even if the SPY is to come down to 406, right, you're still in a scenario where that demand can hold still, right? So you have to make sure, if you guys are out there taking larger positions, maybe over a longer time period, make sure you're not lost in like the 15-minute chart. Because, you might be looking at this 15 and you say, hey, if we break this 409.50 zone, I'm really bearish on this to the downside. And you're not paying attention to this 406 level, which is still a pretty bullish break and retest here, right? You can see those reactions off 406. This is back on April 5th. This is back on April 6th. And this is back on April 10th, right? You can see we held that 406 pretty nice. So just make sure you're zooming out sometimes. Make sure to keep an eye on that. The thing that I wanted to point out was this is that SPY triple top back in February, 415 to around 417, right? This major triple top. And then you can see the ES is already there, right? The ES already touched that level. You can see these previous highs around this 4170. We tapped that level, and that's where we got that downside from. The SPY never got there. So that's a little bit interesting, right? It's a little bit of a discrepancy here, a little bit of a difference between the SPY and the ES. SPY did not get up to that 415, 416 triple top, whereas the ES already has touched it. So interesting there. Keep an eye on that, right? The SPY may need to test this triple top, which is still, I think, very possible when you look at it, when you zoom out and you look at this break and retest. That's still very possible in my eyes. Obviously, we'll see what happens on CPI today. YM, very strong, right? You guys saw this YM push yesterday. Very strong hold. I remember us talking about this on Monday. We said the Dow Jones needs to hold 33,500. And, I mean, this is pretty much perfect. You guys can see right here. Previous lows, right? Previous highs, right? And then look at this low right here, 33.5. So this is textbook break and retest here on the Dow. This is very strong if we, ignore CPI, which we can't, right? We're not going to ignore CPI. But if we just look at technicals here, from a technical standpoint, this is a very bullish break and hold above this previous high, right? And above this previous double bottom low. So Dow definitely getting some strength, right? We saw some bank strength yesterday. We saw some strength on some Dow names. So that is definitely interesting. Dow definitely pushing off that 33.5. And you can see how beautiful this demand held, right? Look at this. Look at this 33.5 demand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Quadruple bottom, right? Right at that 33.5. So that was pretty nice. So keep an eye on that 33.5. That's really going to be the line in the sand. Russell sitting right at the 1800 supply, right? This is going to be very big for the Russell today. The Russell is sitting right at this 1800 supply. You guys can see rejections, rejections, and rejections at 1800. Right here again, we got above it. We held above it temporarily. Big break under. We're right back trading at that 1800 supply. So big watch there on the Russell today, 1800, guys. Keep an eye on that one. All right, so that's the early morning look. on the futures, right? Obviously, we're going to have to look at this again after CPI is released. But once again, 41.35, 41.50. And on the NASDAQ, it's really this 13,000 to 13.2 zone that we're going to have to see if one of the sides breaks. All right, so we got about 7 minutes. Let's go ahead and pull up some of the expectations here. So I'm going to pull these expectations up for us so we can look at what to expect today, right? The number to expect. It really doesn't matter to me that much. I'm not going to try to guess what happens, but at least we can be, educated here into what the expectations are as of right now. So here is the CPI year over year, right? This is not the core. This is just the CPI. So this is including food and energy, right? This is including food and energy. Core CPI is X food and energy. So the expectation for this CPI that's about to come out in 6 minutes, you guys can see right here, this forecast has dropped a pretty decent amount. It is now down to 5.2%. The previous reading was 6%. Now, if we look at the declines in the forecast over the last, say, 6 months, you guys can see this is 8 to 7.3. So that's a 0.7 drop. This is a, what is that? That's 6.7. That's a 0.8 drop. So that's pretty similar to what we're seeing here. So this is a 0.8 drop in forecast here. This was a 0.3 drop in forecast, 0.2 drop in forecast. And now we are back at a 0.8 drop in the forecast on CPI. So 5.2% today. That's the forecast. We'll see what happens. We'll see what comes out. But just wanted to point that out. That is a pretty healthy drop in the forecast to 5.2%. That would bring us back to around October 2021 levels on the CPI. October, November, September. It's actually sort of hard to think about months backwards. So August, September, October, November, right here, November. So yeah, right around that June, July, August, September area is where it's bringing us back to on the CPI. All right. So that's the core. That's the normal CPI. That's not core. That's year over year. Now let's pull up the month over month expected change. All right. So month over month expected change, not the core, just the regular. So including food and energy. This forecast is for 0.2 month over month. That would be, so still an increase month over month on the CPI, right, forecast. Still a increase, but a smaller increase, right? 0.2, 0.4, 0.5. You can see we matched those expectations in the past. Do we match that expectation today? That is our month over month expectation in 4 minutes. 0.2% month over month. All right. So that's month over month. Let's go to the core now. Core year over year. So here's core year over year. So this is excluding food and energy, right? Excluding food and energy. It actually is forecasted to go up. That's interesting, all right? I actually didn't read this one before. I read the other one without the core. So the core CPI year over year is actually expected to increase 0.1%, right? Interesting. So really, this is sort of flatlined, right? Look at these forecasts. They really have sort of flatlined here on the core CPI. 5.7, 5.6 actual, 5.5 actual. So that's interesting there. So let's see what that core comes in at. Interesting to see that the core CPI year over year is actually increasing. All right. And then if we go core month over month, here it is. Core month over month expected to be forecasted the same since the last 3 readings. 0.4, 0.4, 0.4. All right. So sort of summary here. The X food and energy, the CPI that does not include food and energy is higher and expected to stay the same. The decline is the food and energy included, the normal CPI. So interesting there. So we'll see what the number comes out at. What do we got? We got 2 minutes. I will give us 2 minutes to press the like button. I saw someone talking about Tesla moving. Oh yeah, Tesla's sort of moving here. We'll go through all these stocks, guys. Once the CPI is out, we'll go through all this individual stock setups. We'll go over everything to look at today. We just got to kill a little bit of time before the CPI is released. Let's take a look at the dollar right now. Why not? So the dollar, the key thing that's been going on with the dollar actually, which is probably probably worth watching today. This hold here on the dollar has been very, very important. This right here, this previous low here, and this previous low around this 101.40 level, that dollar level should be something to watch today. We'll see if there's any movement. I'm sure there will be movement on the dollar, but that will be a key dollar level to watch. If we break under that level, and the market could definitely sort of push to the upside if we continue to get that inverse correlation on the dollar versus the market. So watch that 101.40 level on the Dixie. All right. Let's see what happens here. We got 30 seconds. We are about to see CPI. So press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Let's see what the CPI has to say. If you guys get the numbers before me, feel free to drop it in the chat. You probably will because I'll go to the SPY chart. It's probably going to be there. All right. Up for now. Little up. Big up. Through 41.50. Wowie. Yeah, Wowie is right, J-Boy. Says you have me blocked. HTO maker, send me a DM or an email. I'll check it out, man. I'm sorry. I'll get back to all the emails, guys. Just trust me. I'll get back to them. I'll make it right. If you guys ever have a problem with any service that I provide, I will always do the right thing. Just know that. I will refund you. I will give you a free month. If it's my fault, I will make it right. I am not a bad person. I am not here to take money. If something is wrong, I will get back to you. I will make it right. So just know that. I try to get back to everyone. Just know that I get a lot of emails. All right. So back to the situation on hand, right? Back to the situation on hand. What are we at? Let's pull up those CPI readings. Big move. Investing.com CPI. Here we go. All right, let's pull this up. So hopefully this is updated. 5%. Yeah, that's definitely bullish, right? That's definitely bullish. So we are below the already heavily declined forecast. That's interesting, right? So 5.2%. We are at 5%. That is a full 1% drop from the previous March forecast or the previous March reading. That is definitely a nice upside move on the market. That is why you're getting it, because you are 0.2 below an already heavily declined forecast, right? So 6%, expectation was 5.2, and we are at 5%, right? So that's why you're getting this move. All right, so that's that one. Let's pull up the month over month. Let's pull that bad boy up. Month over month was 0.1, so you actually got a decline in the month over month as well. So that is also a bullish reading there, 0.1 versus 0.2. Let's go into the core. I'll go ahead and pull that one up because that was actually the one that was expected to increase, and that actually stayed, okay, so that stayed flat. So you stayed flat there on that 5.6. Let's go into the core month over month. Core month over month, 0.4. So the core stayed the same. So core month over month stayed the same, 0.4. Core year over year, same exact thing. The food and energy, which is important, right? Food and energy is important. Is actually, it's moving lower, right? 0.1 month over month, and then 5% versus 5.2 forecast. All right. So that's your numbers. Market obviously likes what it's seeing, right? Increase to the upside. Whether you think it's fake, right? This is where things go very wrong for traders. And I will continue to say this. I will never shy away from what I'm about to say. If you think that what you're seeing is fake, you're wrong. It's moving up, and that's all that matters, right? It's moving up, and that's what matters. This is how you make money trading. You're okay with whatever the market does. The market is moving up right now. We still watch our supply levels, but as of right now, the market is moving up. If you can't accept that, you probably aren't going to be a successful trader, right? So the market's moving up off CPI being lower than expected. I don't care if it goes up. I don't care if it goes down. What I care is what the money that's in my pocket. And I know the best thing for money in my pocket is to accept whatever the market does and to trade the movement that's on the market, all right? That is one of the biggest problems that you will see from people on the internet, from people anywhere, right, in trading. They will not accept the move that's on the market. They think they are always right, right? You cannot be that way. If you are that way, you will lose money, guaranteed, right? I will never shy away from that statement. You have to accept whatever is on the market. If you cannot accept that, you might as well just go to the casino and tell the house that they should not have the odds, right? I'm right. I'm right. I don't care what you have to say. So it's a very toxic thing to think that way. I see it a lot. So yeah, dollar getting that downside move, right? You guys can see that dollar downside move down into that 101.40. So watch that, right? We're still above that 101.40 on the dollar. All right, we're still above that. So let's get a quick review of the futures after this move. Obviously, a really big move here on the futures. Let's get a quick review of what's going on here. So, right, let's all take a step back, right? Let's all take a step back. Yes, a big move to the upside here in the pre-market. Look to the left. Everyone look to the left of your screen, right? This is still important. This is still very important here. You guys can see this is still very important on the left of our screen, right? We could move through it, right, on some really strong momentum today. It is very possible. But we are still very much in this major supply zone here on the ES. So please proceed with some caution, right? Proceed with a little bit of caution. I've made this comment in the past that I would like to see to get really confident on upside. I would like to see a 4,200 break and hold, right? That's still where I feel most confident, on a 4,200 break and hold above this previous supply. I made a video on this 4170 to 4,200 zone. This is no joke of a level, right? So if we go to the daily chart here, this is still no joke of a level. You have previous highs here, previous highs here, previous highs here, and previous highs here. This daily chart is showing you that this level is no joke. You can see rejections in 4170, 4200, rejections 4170, 4200, rejections once again, same level, and rejections triple top once again, same level. So, yes, a nice upside move. Yes, I will look for continuation today, but I will not forget that there is potential rejections in this 4170 to 4200 level, which could definitely be a little bit of a tricky area. So make sure you are paying attention to this supply zone up here still. Even though the market is up this morning, really what I would like to see to get extremely confident and really get aggressive on upside is the 4,200 break and hold, right? That is going to be the real confirmation move here above this major daily chart level, all right? So just make sure you pay attention to that. NASDAQ. On the NASDAQ, I got to say, right, this is a really good-looking break and retest on the NASDAQ of 13,000. When you zoom out to this daily chart, you guys can see that right here. Look at this, right? This is actually a very clean break and retest. You have a previous high at 13,000, a previous high at 13,000, and a previous high of 13,000. You guys can see we have a push, we have a pullback, and we have a maintain of 13,000. So interesting, right? Pretty clean. I'm not going to lie. That's a pretty clean little break and retest like we talked about this morning. As long as the NASDAQ is above 13K, this is still a nice long-term break and retest. So keep an eye on that. The NASDAQ, yes, it is up this morning, but we are still below some of these highs, right? We're still below some of this action. So I would not get like, I'm all in on calls, at market open today type of. That's not the vibe right now, right? You're still sort of stuck under like this 13,250 area, right? So 13,250s, 13,250s, you're sort of rejecting that as we speak. So keep an eye on that, right? And also when you think about where the ES is at that major supply, still a very important level up there. So big upside here. You guys can see previous highs. You're sort of stuck right at that 250. All right, 13,250 looks to be the level to watch. So that's what I would keep on my charts today. Probably this whole 250 to 200 zone is what I'd keep on my charts. Right there. I'd keep that right there on my charts. That zone right there. 13.2 to 13.250. Keep an eye on how we trade within that zone. You can see as we speak, we are starting to reject that level. So keep an eye on that. ES, you can see, is back under 4170, right? That's important. That's a big level there, 4170. That's the exact level I was talking about. So you're still not in the clear there. So just please be cautious of that. All right? And now, right, now you can see, look what's happening here. Remember we talked about that discrepancy on the SPY this morning? Look at where the SPY is pushing now into. Do you think that the SPY is just going to rally through this triple top? It might. I would say it probably at least struggles a little bit. All right, I would at least say there is some kind of struggle here around this 415 level. All right, 415 to 418. I would assume there is some type of struggle at this triple top here on the SPY. So just please be cautious of that today. It's probably not in your best interest to be longing SPY at market open into 415, right? It's probably not, right? It's probably not your best risk to reward to long SPY after this CPI move at market open right into a triple top. If CPI creates emotions like that is okay, you cannot think that way, right? On any other day, if I saw this SPY pushing into this triple top and I said, okay, SPY's at 415, this is a major supply, we're up a percentage point in the pre-market, I'm not going to be saying, yeah, I'm in calls at supply. That's not my mindset on any other day. So that should not be our mindset today. We still have to pay attention to this supply up here at 415. This is very big, all right? All right, so I hope this gives you a good idea of the futures levels today. It's getting a little late, so I want to jump into some individual stocks for the last 10 minutes here, and then we will get the day started. And I hope this, so far, I hope this live stream has helped. If it has, if you guys could be so kind, throw me a like on the live stream. We got 2,000 people here. Holy shit. Holy shit. 2,000 people here. Well, welcome to you 2,000 people. If you guys could, I mean, today should be an easy day to get 1,000 likes. Wow, that's a big Tesla move. And Tesla moved right through our zone. Damn, dude. I didn't want Tesla to make this move without me. I did not want Tesla to make this move without me. Fuck. So you guys know we talked about this one yesterday. We talked about Tesla through this pretty much no volume zone. Right? You guys see this right here? We talked about Tesla getting through this pretty much no volume zone right here, and look what it did. It already did it. So that sucks. But so today we're watching this 190. Right? You see this 190 supply. Watch this 190. Or it's really like 191. Watch this 191 supply here on Tesla. Previous triple bottom. You're rejecting it as we speak. So watch that 191. If Tesla gets above that 191. That could be a nice little break and retest for more upside, right? So watch that 191 there on Tesla right there. Really quick move right through this low volume area. I really wanted to catch this one myself, but I was not going to swing something into CPI, so it just doesn't make sense. But 191, that's what I'd be watching. NVIDIA, 275, big level here, right? Look what NVIDIA is at. You guys can see previous lows, previous rejection. 275 is what you need to watch today. If NVIDIA gets over 275, more upside. If you reject 275, potential downside. Watch 275 on NVIDIA. AMD, back above 95. That is a big, oh man, this was a really nice retest on AMD. Yeah, look at this. Look at this little retest on the hourly, guys. Previous highs, break, retest, double bottom. That is just gorgeous stuff. Look at that. That is gorgeous. That is just absolutely gorgeous. So previous high, break, pullback, bottom, double bottom at the previous double top. If a double top turns into a double bottom, right, that is good, right? That is a bullish break and retest. So you can see upside on AMD today. See if it can hold over 95. If AMD can hold over 95, you might get some continuation here. Watch AMD 95. All right. All right. Microsoft. 4-hour chart. Yeah, so this is interesting on Microsoft, right? You guys see this? What is this? This is a pretty nice little setup there. So you guys can see Microsoft, previous high, into a demand, right? Look at this. Previous supply into demand. This is the best thing you can look for on the market, in my opinion. Looking for these previous major rejection points to turn into demand, or on the flip side, right? It goes both ways. Previous lows to turn into supply, right? This is inverse Microsoft. So what is the inverse of Microsoft doing? Look at this, right? Previous double bottom low into a double top supply. That is a break and retest. This is what I trade. This is what I talk about on my channel all the time. This is the same thing here on the upside, right? It works both ways. So 281, nice hold. You're sort of in the channel here. So I really don't like a trade on Microsoft right now because you're moving up into that 290 supply. I think really to get bullish on Microsoft, you either need to see it above 290 or you need to get in closer to that 281. Let's go over Apple. Let's go over the big boys. So Apple, yeah, look at that. So Apple, same thing, guys. Same exact setup that I just talked about on Microsoft. What is it doing? Previous high, into a low, right? So rejections, support, break, and retest. If the market sees more upside today, this could be a really nice level to play Apple off of around this 160.50. So watch that. Supply is up around this 162. So watch out for that 162 supply. All right. What else we got? We got Meta. Yeah, Meta up at that 217 again, testing that supply again this morning. That could be a nice watch. Rejections, 217. Yeah, I'd keep an eye to see if Meta can break above that 217 today. If you can get a little break and retest of 217, turn these previous highs into a new demand, that could be interesting. If the market reverses that market open, right? If you get downside this morning, maybe there's a little 217 supply rejection as well. So interesting there. What else? Netflix. Let's take a look at Netflix. Really, Netflix is just in a channel here. You're going to need a break of either side. So really not liking this. You can see 346, 350, heavy supply. Demand down at 330. I don't really like Netflix for a trade, right? I would really just want to see a break of this channel. Anything that's in a channel, I'm not that interested. Anything that's at a channel low on a retest, I'm more interested in, right? Apple's more interesting because it's at a channel low retest. So I know there is still a demand below that I can trade off of, right? I'm closer to that low. I have better risk reward. But a stock like Netflix that's in the middle of a channel, I'm not really loving something like that. AMD, I'm going to keep an eye on 95. NVIDIA 275, that's what I'd watch today. Tesla 191. Keeping an eye on that one. Let's take a look at the XLE after that. So XLE was pretty strong yesterday. XLE sort of in the middle of the channel. Don't love it. XLF was also a strong one yesterday. The XLF is actually, if we go to the daily chart, right, look at what the XLF did. We talked about this daily chart on XLF. We talked about this demand hold down here at 30. So you're starting to see a little push on that XLF. Could be interesting. The one that I wanted to point out on the XLF was Goldman Sachs. We talked about this Goldman Sachs in the past. Right? We talked about this pretty much straight down move, straight up, and straight down move between 326.50 and 340. So if there's another strong move on the banks today, you might get that GS through that low volume area here. Watch GS towards that 340. I'll go over Google and Amazon, and then we're heading out of here. So really, I would be cautious on the upside on Google because of this 108 supply. I would ignore this 107 now, and I would just simply focus on the 108. 108, 109, be careful up here, guys, on Google, right? Be careful up here. Look at this. One double top there. I would personally want to be long above 108, 109, and then get the break and retest. I would not want to be long into that supply. Let it break out. Let it pull back for you. Then you get your confirmation. Watch that 109 on Google. And then Amazon, yeah, I mean, a nice little break and retest on Amazon here. Let me make this green so you guys can see right here. It's not the cleanest, right? It's not the cleanest. And I probably would stay a little bit away from Amazon, just knowing how weak it's been, right? Look at Amazon's recovery versus some other tech names. So not a fond trader of Amazon. Not too fond of trading Amazon lately. It's still very weak versus the rest of the tech names. You know, when you think about AMD, NVIDIA, Tesla, right, a little bit stronger out there. Microsoft, Amazon's been pretty dead. So, yeah, you could look off 100. You could definitely look off 100, but just understand that Amazon's been pretty damn weak. All right, guys. Let's have a good day. Some nice setups out there. Hopefully some nice price action after this CPI. Please pay attention to those futures levels. That 4170 on the ES is very important. Keep an eye on that. We are trading below it right now. NASDAQ up at that 13,250 area. The SPY up to that 415 area. Keep an eye on these levels. Do not approach today any differently than you would approach any other day, right? Don't long into supply because CPI was lower. Oh, I'm long into supply today because I know CPI was lower and it's going higher. No, all right? We keep our head the same. We play supplies. We play demands. It's the same exact thing. Keep it consistent. Keep it repetitive, right? My video yesterday, trading is repetitive. That's what it is. We got to do the same thing over and over again, no matter the things that are going on outside the market. Let's focus on our technicals. Let's focus on our futures levels. Let's get in. Let's get out. And let's enjoy the trader lifestyle, right? This is something that I want to try to push more. I see a lot of people, I'm sure a lot of people that are in the chat are probably like at their day job, so they just sort of hang out in the Discord. But I want to try to influence people to trade in the morning and enjoy the rest of their days, right? Whether that's doing your day job for the rest of the day, whether that's doing something else, maybe a side hustle for the rest of the day, we should not be trading all day. If you guys go look at successful traders, they're not sitting in front of their screens all day, right? It's just not something that is advantageous to you as a trader. You do not have the mental capacity. You do not have the skill. Even me personally, I do not have the skill to call the market right the entire day. So the less time you're in, if you take one or two trades, you get the hell out of there, man. Take your profits, get out. Tomorrow's a new day. All right? Thank you guys again. Press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. I hope you enjoyed the live streams. If you guys are new here, subscribe. You know, we do this every day. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a fantastic day. Peace out.